Alright, this is the Unit 4 test review. This is the one time where actually the part I did in class is going to be more detailed than what I do on the video. So this should just kind of rehash what we talked about in class and the notes you wrote down. So make sure you have those out as we go through it. Alright, so the first one, we discussed the Haitian earthquake in 2010. And we were comparing it to the earthquake in San Francisco in '89, which the San Fran earthquake was much stronger, but yet the one in Haiti caused more damage. And so you have to know why we saw more damage in Haiti. And of course, that has to do with their infrastructure. They don't build their buildings to withstand earthquakes like they do in San Francisco. They don't have the money to do that. And so you're going to see more damage there, and of course, more lives are lost. Deforestation in the Amazon. The two main groups that are responsible that do the most damage are cattle ranchers and native people that are taking part in slash and burn farming. So cattle ranchers that clear out the forest for their cattle to graze, and then of course the natives clear out land to grow crops on. The cattle ranchers are going to do more damage because obviously the cattle need quite a bit of land to graze on, and they go through it pretty quickly. And remember population pyramids, remember how to interpret those. And so, if you see a population pyramid that looks more or less like a pyramid where you have a lot more youth and not as many older people within the population, obviously they're going to have programs more set up geared towards the youth, like schools and things like that. And the causes of the different types of climate throughout Latin America, because they have very diverse climate. First off, South America, and really all Latin America, spans very far north and south of the equator, and so you're going to see different climates due to that. Also, you have several mountain ranges. Some that are very high, like the Andes, and that creates different climate zones. And then also you have the ocean currents from the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans regulating the climate. Another question about NAFTA. Make sure you know what NAFTA was, North American Free Trade Agreement, signed between Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and the goal of it was to really to increase the economies of all countries, but especially to help Mexico out and increase their manufacturing. The effects on a tribe that's been isolated from civilization, and the things they would have in common. So like any tribe, no matter where it is in the world, they're probably going to be hunting and gathering still. And their religions are going to be very unique, religious beliefs that only they hold to, so they're not influenced by Western religion of any type. Also, you need to know some characteristics of colonialization, some things that developed in Latin America because of colonialization. First off would be obviously Spanish. Spain was the main country that colonized most of Latin America, so Spanish is the majority language. And of course religion is mainly going to be Roman Catholic again from Spain, Spanish being mainly Catholic. And the correlation or relationship between literacy rates and per capita income. So per capita income is going to be higher where literacy rates are higher because they have better jobs, so you have better education. El Nino. El Nino is the warming of surface water temperature off the coast of South America in the Pacific Ocean. And that causes more rainfall along the west coast of the Americas, north and south. All right, and the effects that hurricanes can have on the Caribbean. Keep in mind the main economic activity in the Caribbean is tourism. So obviously a hurricane is going to disrupt tourism. They don't have the funds to rebuild everything like they need to, and it gets rid of their infrastructure, and they're already economically weak, and so that just puts them further behind. Reasons why Mexicans migrate to the U.S., obviously, because there's more jobs here that are much higher paying, and so they come here seeking those jobs. Also keep in mind with the wealth in Latin America as far as distribution goes, it's not evenly distributed whatsoever. There's no middle class in Latin America. You have majority poor, like 97% poor, and then you have a few percent that are really rich, own a bunch of land, and control almost everything. Kind of your landowning elites. Make sure you know geographically where the Incas were located. They were in Peru, along the west coast of South America, up in the Andes Mountains. You know why people move to places like Mexico City, for example, and other big cities in Latin America. And of course, it has to do with economic opportunity. They're looking for jobs because there's not any opportunity in the countryside anymore. All right, then you know where you would find in Latin America, where you find people of majority African descent, and that's going to be the Caribbean. Majority of Caribbean nations are African. Another question about NAFTA. Maps and charts. All right, you know, main reason why people are discouraged from investing in Latin America, as far as investing money in there, and of course that has to do with political instability. If the government's not stable, the economy's not going to be stable, and it would be a very risky move to invest in a capital in that region. Then you need to know what happened to Latin American countries shortly after independence. So they get independence from Spain, or in Brazil case Portugal, and shortly after that they turn into dictatorships. So really they just traded one evil for another. So they ended up with dictatorships because they had that influence from Spain. That's all they knew. And so you don't really see democracy take hold there until much later, like until recently, really. Of course, the two main countries that colonized Latin America are Spain and Portugal. Remember, Portugal got Brazil. A few things that you need to know. A few things that keep them from having a strong economy as well is the workforce has a lack of education, and because they have a lack of education, you can't get those higher paying jobs. Those jobs that bring more money in don't exist because the people cannot perform those jobs. Another one about NAFTA. You know the effects of the main physical features in Latin America, especially like the Andes Mountains and the Amazon River Basin. The main thing on that is that it limits transportation and communication from one side of the continent to the other. So like here in the United States, we've connected both coasts. We got railways, we got highways, all that kind of stuff. That does not exist in Latin America because physically it's impossible, and so it's going to hinder the economy as well. A few things that hinder the development of democracy in Latin America: you get the uneven distribution of wealth, and so you got a few wealthy people own everything. They're not going to give up power very easily. You got lack of education among the citizens, so I mean really there's not that many people to choose from if there was going to be an election because there's not enough intelligent people to run for office. And of course people understanding what they're voting for and why they're voting and that kind of thing as well. And then they have a history of dictatorships, and so that's what they know. That's what those people are used to, sadly, and so they don't have the experience with democracy like we do. All right, climate in the tropics. Climate in the tropics is going to be warm, obviously, all year long, and wet and humid. The Pampas, you need to know where the Pampas was. That's in Argentina, and it's mainly used for ranching, cattle ranching. It's a grassland. Okay, some more questions, graphs, charts. Let's see here. All right, the main cultural aspect that unites pretty much all people in Latin America, almost all, is going to be the fact that they're mostly Roman Catholics. So even though they got many different cultures and things of that sort all throughout Latin America and different languages, the Roman Catholicism is what's going to unite them. And then another effect that physical features such as the Andes and the Amazon have had on culture is that you see more cultural diversity because it separates people even more, and so people are going to develop more varying cultures throughout the region. Easy one. All right, and the political trend that's going on right now in Latin America is that democracy is taking over. So these dictatorships are falling, democracy is taking hold. Moving on to the next one about economic growth and trade in Latin America has greatly increased after the construction of Panama Canal. Made shipping a lot easier from one side to the other. Then just review one again about what you'll see on a physical map. Remember, physical map is going to show you physical features, such as mountains and rivers and forests and stuff like that. You won't see cities or countries' borders or anything like that. You know what the Llanos is? Llanos. That's a area in Venezuela used for farming a grassland. Reasons for preserving the rainforest. Obviously, there's medicines and stuff like that in there that we could use for better health. We got tons of species of animals and plants. Some that are, let's say, some thousands that are still undiscovered that may live there, and of course, who knows how they could help us. And then it could increase global warming by getting rid of the rainforest. They need to know why the Caribbean and Central America and Mexico differ, and that's because the Caribbean has a lot more Africans there, because Mexico did not have slavery at all, and so you didn't have any Africans shipped there. And then also you had other European countries involved in colonialization in the Caribbean, such as the British, the French, Portuguese, and all that, along with the Spanish. So whereas in Mexico, you just had that Spanish influence. So it's going to create different cultures. All right, so some of these questions kind of repeat, same ideas a few times. If you have any questions or concerns coming to tutoring tomorrow morning, I'll be here around 7:30, 7:45. See y'all then.